Yeah, the title of this speech will be Mr. Last Minute.
It's the last minute. Okay, let help me welcome Troy.
Fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests. Last week was my moving week. I officially moved from Montreal to the South Shore. So now it feels a lot more fitting to come to the South Shore Toastmaster meeting. Before, I was coming here for the love of the club and not really for the physical convenience. And now I come here every single week as the club president, residing just 6 minutes away. It really adds a lot of convenience. One thing I underestimated is the time to unpack everything and to set up a new home. It took me over a week and I'm still not done yet. It was just last night when it hit me, I have a speech to give today. Well, I have less than 20 hours. I have to sleep for 8 hours, work for 8 hours. What do I do? Fortunately or unfortunately for me, I tend to do things last minute. As some of you may already know, especially Saki, since she was the club president last year, I'm sure I frustrated her multiple times by doing things not on time. Fortunately for me this time, it's not my first time for being last minute, so I had to come up with something for my speech. I thought for 20-30 minutes to try to come up with a speech title. Nothing really came up. All right, let me look on Pathway to see what I can talk about. The objective of the speech would be communication style. I did a questionnaire to figure out different types of communication styles out there and to identify my primary communication style. The result was a bit surprising to me. I'm a direct communicator. What does it mean, a direct communicator? It is usually someone who's very result focused, very competitive, and focus on the result. Sounds kind of like me, but I would never put myself as a direct communicator. It seems a bit counterintuitive to me. Being brought up in China, I've always been taught to stay quiet, to stay low-key, not to raise my voice, and to talk to people not too directly. In fact, if you talk to people too directly, it's being perceived as being less educated or being sometimes impolite. That served me well until 2013, until I came to Canada. First day in university, I realized, people here actually talk really directly with each other. People here tend to speak what's on their mind, and some people beat around the bush, but most people don't. And I had a hard time adjusting to that. Every time I go ask for help, I would spend 5 minutes talking about irrelevant things, trying to get to the point slowly. But that actually didn't really get me anywhere. Sometimes I spend all the time talking about other things, but in the end, I still don't get my results. I hit the wall multiple times, and it was super frustrating. I knew something had to change. I had to change my communication style. But of course, like many things, we don't really know how to start. So I thought, why not do the opposite? Let me talk more directly with people. Obviously, that was super challenging and uncomfortable. But I decided to take things one step at a time. Next time I went to a friend's house, instead of addressing his dad as sir, I just called his dad by his name. Instead of avoiding talking about gossips on the dinner table, which seemed a little bit inappropriate for me at the time, I decided to embrace it and to bring some fun gossips from school in front of the parents. To my surprise, they didn't really mind it, and they seemed to really liked it. All right, I learned something. Although the transition from going from an indirect communicator to a more direct communicator has been filled with all kinds of challenges, it also helped me realize that the reward itself is the journey. By forcing myself to step out of my comfort zone and adapt a different style of communication, I've seen great results. Now when I go to people, asking them for things, it's a lot more clear what my intent is. And I tend to get the result I wanted, most of the time. This reminds me of disastrous table topic session that I've led by Avery. The theme was paradox. You know, I was thinking very hard last night how I can possibly tie my two qualities together. Doing things last minute and talking directly with people. I still haven't figured out the response yet. But I think, like many things in life, things may seem very paradoxical, right? They don't really seem to fit together. But somehow, that makes us who we are. I'm sure all of us here have some qualities that don't really seem to go together, but somehow that makes you who you are. In my case, I'll still try to figure out how I can let those two qualities coexist and maybe work on my last-minuteness and try to do things more promptly. So I can avoid situations like today where I have to prepare a 5 to 7 minute speech with just less than 20 hours to go. But the moral of the story is embrace yourself and figure out what you want to change about yourself. Sometimes the very first step can be the most difficult step, right? But taking that step will assure you that you're on the right track to make a transformation. You may want to change the way you look. Start going to the gym. Take the very first step. Once you take the first step, figure out the rest. 80% of the work is done when you decide to take that very first step. Now, every single speech is supposed to have a great conclusion. For me, I can directly say to you that my next speech will not be so last minute. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Troy. We are looking forward to your next optimal speech.